Welcome again to this channel. In this video, we're going to give a plot summary of Chapter 11 up to Chapter 14. If you like our videos, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our videos. In Chapter 11, Pastor Chiamaka, Professor Kimani, Engineer Tahir, and Comrade Melusi are guided by Dr. Afolabi, assumed to be the mysterious guide from the Agency for Governance and Development in Africa. The chapter first shows Chiamaka's thwarted plan to confront the president at a summit dinner that gets cancelled. Following this, all the characters receive calls from the Agency for Governance and Development in Africa to attend a crucial meeting. At the meeting, Dr. Afolabi reveals himself as their guide, surprising everyone. His dual fealty to both Way Omega and Path Alpha is clarified as a means to maintain impartiality at the summit. He explains that the Gambian president's refusal to chair the summit is due to the fear of the bitter fallout expected to arise from the lack of consensus between the heads of states. Instead, the new chair is set to employ a stratagem referred to as the trick. This ploy, involving deferring decision-making power to another head of state, could present a chance for the implementation of Path Alpha. Finally, each Agency for Governance and Development in Africa contact is provided the opportunity to address the summit via a minute-long speech, enabling them to voice their perspectives and possibly influence the state's decisions. If you like this video, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. Chapter 12 opens at the commencement of a state summit, with the Gambian president formally opening the proceedings. He presents Way Omega as the desired strategy for common growth among Africa, highlighting the endorsement by 20 Nobel laureates. President Miniko Menkiti, of another African country, acts as the chair, even though typically the hosting Gambian president would have taken on this role. On his turn to speak, Minister Zinto encourages continents to embrace an impending cyclone of change, crediting this shift to the African Union. Despite the content of his speech, his lecturing tone earns him a disinterested audience. However, the most critical event in the chapter occurs when Dr. Afolabi speaks, prioritizing the introduction of Path Alpha as a more practical and effective strategy. Despite protests from Minister Zinto, Path Alpha documents are distributed among the attendees. In addition, 5 representatives, Tad Longway, Pastor Chiamaka, Professor Kimani, Engineer Tahir, and Comrade Melusi, advocate for Path Alpha. The most startling moment arises when Comrade Melusi attempts to attack the Zimbabwean ruler in a vengeful move before he's pulled away by security guards. After order is restored, Dr. Afolabi concludes his speech, expressing his belief in Path Alpha's ability to concretely execute ideas. The chapter ends with all heads of state desiring a chance to speak, where Didier Bangura, representing a country that achieved its independence earliest, is given the opportunity to go first due to his seniority. In the continuation of Chapter 12 of Fathers of Nations, the discussion at the State Summit enlivens. President Bangura admits his lack of attention to both Way Omega and Path Alpha's documents due to energy constraints in old age. His puzzlement over Way Omega's repetition of previous resolutions is met with laughter. His confusion deepens as he questions Dr. Afolabi's inconsistent portrayal of both plans' strengths and weaknesses. President Ibarosa, infamous for his aggressive disposition, criticizes Minister Zinto, claiming he has misled the summit, and falsely asserting Way Omega calls for a 2-term limit for presidencies. King Jemba Jemba and President Dibonso respond respectively by passing their turn to speak and accusing the chair of losing control of the summit. The debate nearing the point of degeneration, President Wasiga saves the day by shouting a point of order, proposing an adjournment and the formation of a method committee consisting of Presidents Ibarosa, Gamlosi, and Bangura to devise a strategy going forward. The chair agrees and reschedules the debate for the next day. Contributing to an intensified political atmosphere, the chapter unveils a series of strong opinions, confrontations, and tactics among various heads of state, with the highlight being the proposal of the Method Committee as an alternate way to resolve the dispute between Way Omega and Path Alpha. In Chapter 13, Abiola follows the detailed directions given to him by an unnamed woman to find her house. After a certain level of difficulty, he arrives at the said building and climbs up to the 3rd floor, where the woman's apartment is located. He identifies himself at the door and is welcomed into her modest apartment. They engage in a bit of small talk, make jokes, and they toast to their gathering. Their friendly interaction is interrupted by a knock at the door, which is opened to reveal a young man named Nick. Abiola and Nick seem to know each other, with Abiola expressing his gratitude to Nick for a tip, supposedly about the trick, that helped place Path Alpha on the summit's agenda. The two have a contentious exchange about the handling of information related to the trick and the potential for mischief in the African summit setting. Nick mentions a silent listener, implying a possible surveillance tool, and shares that the Method Committee has named the Choice Matrix as the method for choosing between Way Omega and Path Alpha. As their conversation ends, Abiola manages to secure observer status for both Fiona and Nick at the impending summit. Nick expresses his intention to invite his boss from the VOA. With this, Nick takes his leave for the night, ending the rendezvous in the woman's apartment. This chapter further reveals the political underpinnings of the plot and the interconnectedness of the involved characters. Chapter 14 of Fathers of Nations resumes with the reconvening of the summit. The mood is apprehensive as the delegates hope for a clear method of choosing between Way Omega and Path Alpha, while dealing with the potentially problematic choice of President Bangura, an ill-prepared committee leader. Despite his admitted lack of preparation, Bangura is about to make his report. Minister Zinto and President Bangura both shift their seating positions to follow the protocol of the Method Committee's chair. Also, there are 3 new observers present: Mr. Manley, Miss Mackenzie, and a representative from the VOA. Their unlikely observer, Malusi, is missing following his arrest. The chair of the summit begins the proceedings, calls on Bangura to report on a method for deciding between the 2 paths. Bangura confidently informs the summit that they were able to find a method. His assurance is met with skepticism due to his senility and unpredictability. Responding to the chair's queries, Bangura confirms that he is ready to present the method. He then introduces the Choice Matrix, a table with 4 simple equations used to decide between Way Omega and Path Alpha based on the outcome of a coin toss. Despite the seriousness of Bangura's method, it is taken lightly by many heads of state who start exchanging humorous notes. A heated argument ensues between Minister Zinto and Bangura, resulting in laughter and eventually quieting down by the chair's interjection. A break is called by the chair before it reignites. Upon the summit's resumption, Bangura is rejuvenated and ready to demonstrate his method. He calls on the chair and 2 witnesses, Minister Zinto and Dr. Afolabi, to conduct the coin toss. The toss results in tails, directing them to apply Path Alpha. Then the next toss comes up as heads, which according to the matrix means the summit approves Path Alpha. The Choice Matrix's decision concludes the chapter amidst murmurs of Amen. In the concluding part of chapter 14, the summit for Way Omega and Path Alpha concludes with the unexpected Choice Matrix winning the day for Path Alpha. The chair, pleased with the situation, warmly appreciates President Bangura and bids the attendees a safe journey home, announcing a closing ceremony to be held at the pinnacle. However, the amiable end is disrupted by an incensed President Dibonso, who vehemently refutes the Choice Matrix, refers to it as madness, and insists on keeping the summit open. A heated exchange takes place between him and the chair, escalating when Dibonso pulls out a pocket-sized pistol. In response, the chair triggers a panic button, summoning armed commandos to the scene. Being outnumbered, Dibonso disarms his weapon and flees while the rest rush to the exits. Following the chaos, the attendees, including Dr. Afolabi, Miss Mackenzie, Mr. Manley, the youth, and Mr. Longway, exit the meeting. Diverse reactions flow. While Miss Mackenzie seems baffled by the summit's spectacle, Mr. Longway and his wards celebrate their unexpected victory for Path Alpha. Here are some of the major thematic issues that emerge from chapters 11 to 14 of Fathers of Nations novel. Power dynamics. The chapters highlight the intricate political strategies and power struggles at play during the State Summit. The introduction of the trick, President Miniko Menkiti's chairmanship, and the formation of the Method Committee all demonstrate calculated attempts to influence the summit's outcome. Clash of ideologies. The summit becomes a battleground for competing visions for Africa's future. Way Omega, supported by established figures like Minister Zinto, represents a continuation of existing power structures. In contrast, Path Alpha, championed by Dr. Afolabi and the Agency for Governance and Development in Africa Contacts, proposes a radical departure. This ideological conflict drives much of the tension and debate. The role of chance, the choice matrix, introduced by President Bangura, introduces an element of randomness into the decision-making process. The summit's fate hinges on a coin toss, highlighting the role of chance and the potential for unexpected outcomes in political affairs. Individual agency versus systemic forces. While powerful figures like presidents and ministers dominate the summit, the chapters also show the influence of individuals working behind the scenes. Characters like Dr. Afolabi, Abiola, and Nick play crucial roles in shaping events, suggesting that individual actions can have a significant impact even within complex political systems. Satire and irony. The text employs satire to critique political processes and expose the absurdity of certain situations. President Bangura's choice matrix, despite its simplicity, is taken seriously by the summit attendees. The reactions of characters like Miss Mackenzie and Mr. Longway further highlight the ironic and often farcical nature of the summit's proceedings. Here are some of the major characteristics and literary devices used in chapters 11 to 14 of Fathers of Nations dialogue. The text relies heavily on dialogue to advance the plot and reveal character traits. Conversations between characters like Dr. Afolabi, Minister Zinto, and President Bangura provide insights into their motivations and perspectives. Suspense and intrigue. The chapters maintain a sense of suspense by introducing mysterious elements, such as the trick and the silent listener. The reader is kept guessing about the true intentions of certain characters and the potential consequences of their actions. Humor and satire. The text employs humor to satirize political processes and power dynamics. President Bangura's choice matrix, for instance, is presented as a seemingly absurd solution to a complex issue, yet it is ultimately accepted by the summit attendees. This satirical approach highlights the often irrational nature of political decision-making. Symbolism. Certain elements in the text carry symbolic weight. For example, the coin toss used in the choice matrix can be seen as a symbol of chance and fate, suggesting that the future of Africa is left to the whims of fortune. Character development. While the narrative focuses primarily on political events, the chapters also offer glimpses into the personal lives and relationships of certain characters. The interaction between Abiola, Nick, and the unnamed woman sheds light on their connections and provides a brief respite from the intensity of the summit. Foreshadowing. The text uses foreshadowing to hint at future events and create anticipation. Nick's mention of the trick and the potential for mischief foreshadows the unexpected turn of events at the summit. The contentious exchange between Abiola and Nick hints at underlying conflicts and potential obstacles ahead. Shift in tone. The chapters demonstrate a shift in tone, moving between serious political discussions and moments of humor and lightheartedness. The tense atmosphere of the summit is occasionally punctuated by comical exchanges, such as President Bangura's confusion over Way Omega and the attendees' reactions to the choice matrix. This shift in tone helps to maintain reader engagement and prevent the narrative from becoming too heavy or predictable. Thank you for watching our videos. If you have any further contribution, drop it in that comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our videos.